Holy Wire Mod.
Holy Wire Mod here, and this is going to be tutorial 11 in the Lewis series, where we're going to be going over the very fun subject of networking. Now, networking is a very important aspect because if you have a client who wants to communicate with another client, they can't do so directly. They have to go through the server before going to the client, right? So networking permits communication from client to server, and then from server to client. So let's take a look at this on the server side. Before we network, we need to actually create a network string. To do that, you type AddNetworkString, and then you give your string a unique name. So we're going to say server message because this is going to be the message from the server to the client. Okay? Now we're going to be doing this through chat commands right here, so we can actually recycle this. I'll get rid of this so it's not so confusing. Get this return value to here, and also we'll remove this and say that our command is going to be exclamation point message. Also remember to make this not case sensitive. You'd simply say text equals string lower and text. And if you don't know what's going on here, I recommend you watch the last tutorial where we cover all the chat commands. So anyway, in this chat command, in order to actually send the network thing at all, we need to start it. So we start, and we are saying, okay, what message are we starting here? We are using the one that we just defined, this network string right here called server message. And to end the network message, you need to actually send it. So we're going to say net.Send, and who are we going to send it to? Well, whoever typed the command message, that's who we're going to send it to. So we're going to be sending it to the player. It doesn't have to be player, but for this example, it's going to be player. You could also do it to a list of players, and you can pick a player at the list and then send it to them, or you can send it on to every player on the server. That works fine too. Now, we have all this done. That looks good, but we're not sending any information. So let's start sending some information. We'll say in this server message to the client, we want to include a string. So we'll say write string, and we'll say in the string my favorite number is, put a little space because we're going to be concatenating that. Oh, favorite, that's weird. Anyway, well, it's weird to an American. Anyway, so we say WriteInt. This is going to be our second value. Now it's very important to remember the order in which you send the information, because that's going to be the order in which we read it on the client side, and I'll get into that in a second. So WriteInt is a little bit different. So we're going to send the value 1000, but the second argument here is how many bits the message or the number is going to take. So to figure that out, we go into our calculator, which comes with Windows, and you can select the program feature. You go to decimal right here, and we're going to put in the number 1000. And if we click on binary, that converts it to the binary value. Now right here you see that there is 10 bits. Every one of these numbers represents a bit. So we have 4, 4, and 2, which is 10. However, this is actually a 12-bit number. So we're going to need 12 bits because that 0, 0 in front, for whatever reason, it's important. So we're going to include it there. Now the third thing that we're going to send is a Boolean value. Now you can send entities, you can send all kinds of things through network strings, but we're going to be focusing on these three data types because they are the most common. So we're going to be sending the Boolean value false. All right. So just to recap here, I'm typing a message, the command message. It's getting sent to lowercase, so it's not case sensitive. We're returning nothing, so you won't see anything in chat when it happens. Actually, know what? We'll say, how about message sent? All right. And then we will, how about server message sent? Okay. And then after that, we're starting the net message. We're getting this information ready, and then we're sending it to the player who types the command. All right. Now, in order for you to actually receive it on the client, or the player to receive it, there needs to be a net.Receive on the client side. So let's do that by typing net.Receive, and then you use the argument, which is going to be your identifier for the network string that we just used right here. So server message, And then we're going to have a function which has the argument length, which gets the length of the message. So if you need that, that's how you do that. So then we are going to read in the same order that we sent. So we say local string is equal to net.ReadString. So that's going to get our string and assign it to the variable string, which is local only to this net.Receive. Then we're going to have number, which was the second bit of information that we sent, which is an integer. And this is going to be how many bits that we need. So 12 in this case. And that's to match the number of bits right here. Then we're going to have the Boolean value, which is net.WriteBool. Alright, so then we're going to say if Boolean, so if it's true or false. Well, if it's true, then return and do nothing. If it's false, continue on to the next line. Alright, so we'll say print, and we'll say string, and we'll concatenate the number that we just got, and then we'll add a period. So let's go in game, and we will see what this does. Alright, so we're now in game. So let's start by typing our command, which is !message. So it says server message sent, and if we go into the console, it says that my favorite number is 1000. Now let's play with some values here. Let's say we put 10 instead of 12 bits, and we'll show you what it's like when you don't have enough bits, because you remember it looks like it's only a 10-bit number, but it's actually a 12-bit number. So we go into game and type message again, server message sent, and now it says 488, which is not the 1000 that we wanted. So again, 12 bits is what we need, and if that ever happens to you, that's how you fix it. So let's also change the Boolean value that we sent. So we're going to put true here instead of false. So that should trigger this return, and that means nothing's going to be printed out. So let's go into here, message, server message has been sent, and there is now nothing in chat or in the console. So that works just fine, and we're looking good. So, alright, so now that we've got sending from the server to the client, let's do the opposite and send it from the client to the server. So first things first, we must create the network message or network string. So add network string, and then we will define this as client message, which will be the message from the client to the server. Now let's go and on the client side here, remember how in the last tutorial we made it so that you can make chat commands on the client side? Well, that's exactly why I did that tutorial before this one, so that we can have exclamation point message, right? So here we will say, and we'll suppress the message right here. So we'll say, just as we did on the server side, we'll say start, and this will identify the net message that we're about to send, and this will be client message. And the difference here is when we're sending it to the server, we don't actually have to identify who we're sending it to. So it's just send to server, because you're only on one server. There's not multiple servers like there are multiple clients, so you don't have to specify who you're sending it to. Now, the only bit of information we're going to be putting here, to kind of keep it brief, is to say, hello server, with such enthusiasm, 2 exclamation points. Alright, so we are now sending this string from the client to the server, but next we have to actually find a way to, or set up a way for the server to receive this message. So we'll do net.Receive, just as we did like on the client side, and then we'll say client message, and then we have our function. Now the only difference here with this function is, yes, it does have a length, but also it identifies the player who is sending the message to the server. So that's another bit of information you can use. Now we're going to set up a local variable string to this net.Receive, and that's going to be receiving the net message that we just sent from the client. So we'll say read string. Okay, and then we're going to print it. except when you're printing, remember on this side, it's not going to appear in the console in our case. So anyway, let's go in game and I will demonstrate that. So one more time, create the network string, set it up to send on the client side, and then set it to receive on the server side. So go in game and type /message, which is our command. It is suppressed, so it's not going to appear in the chat box, and it's not going to appear in here. So we're going to have to actually go into the console for the server and see on the bottom line it says hello server. Now for those of you who forgot about this, we can unsuppress the message by putting false here, and it says message, and now we go in console, it says /message and hello server. Now notice it doesn't actually suppress the message in the console. So I just wanted to point that out, which is why I changed it to false. So that's pretty much going to be all you need to know about sending network messages. I really hope that was clear, because I know this can be a confusing topic for some of you. But if you have any more questions on the topic, or you're still confused, feel free to leave a comment and I'll be sure to get to you. Anyway, until the next video, I will see you next time.